back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with a very special guest,
Matty Ice.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Oh, you're welcome. So how are you doing today?
Good, real good. Unfortunately, there was that earthquake. It was pretty gnarly. I was on the freeway, so I didn't feel it, but I hope everybody in San Diego is doing all right. You didn't feel it either?
Yeah. Was that a test?
It was at 10. God was testing us. It was at 10:30.
Like the earth moved. If you were in a place that doesn't get earthquakes, you would be like, "Oh, an earthquake!" But in California, we're like, "Wait, why are they saying there was an earthquake?"
It was They said it was pretty bad. It was 5.2, which anything over 4. Epicenter was Julian, so east of here, but close. So.
I did not feel the ground.
Really? Well, they felt it in L.A. as well. So, yeah, it was shaking.
Man, I was at the beach, so I don't know.
There you go. You were surfing. Yeah, there you go. So, breaking news, Aaron. I didn't know either. I was on the freeway. I was on the freeway.
Beach, like, earthquake? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so do you use a stage name?
I do. It is a stage name. My real name is Matthew Lawrence, but it's spelled Lorentz. So my teachers and everybody throughout my life would always mess it up. They would say Lorenz, and it's not pronounced that way. So throughout high school, it was like there's Matthew Lawrence, there's Matt Lawrence, and Matthew Lawrence, like just so many. And I knew getting into comedy, they were messing up my name. Every time on the stage, I'm like, if I'm going to get any fans or gain traction, I got to switch it up. So my name, it was a nickname given to me. I work in the brewery business in town. And while I was at Green Flash, I had multiple nicknames, but my boss said, hey, they're calling you Matty Ice. I go, I like that. So that's why I switched over. So
cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So how did you get into comedy?
I got into comedy almost a year ago. I will say this, I've been a fan of comedy since like the late 80s. I loved watching the MTV half-hour comedy hour, Evening at the Improv, Comedy Jam. I loved all that. And then when I turned 21, I would see a lot of shows not far from here. It used to be a place called 4th and B, on 4th and B. And they would give out free tickets, and then if you went, they give you more free tickets, and then sometimes they'd say bring in some canned food for the homeless. We would do that, and so I was watching comedy live from 21 throughout my 20s, pretty much. So I thought I was shy growing up, and I never had any jokes, and but I was witty. I was funny and witty, like some people are, and so I never considered myself a comic though. But I thought, even though I was shy, I'm like, you know what? It'd be cool, kind of like a bucket list. I thought, like, at one point in my life, I'd like to maybe take a class, and then you do like a show at the end. It's probably at a coffee shop, and then just something that I could check off. That'd be cool. So what happened was almost a year ago, two friends of mine were interested in comedy. So they staked out and scoped out. They didn't rob the place. They were checking out Solaris Brewery in Temecula. So they went just to swatch, and then the next week their plan was to perform. So my one buddy was just itching. He added his name to the list. He did really well. And so the producer's like, I hope you guys come back next week. So I was just going to go to support him. And I'm like, that's awesome. I know a friend who's doing comedy. I'll support. And he's all, Matt, you got to do it. Right. He's like, half the room's bombing. You're going to be funny. And I thought, what the hell? If it was in San Diego, I would not have done it because I kind of run into people here and there that I know. Right. So I'm like, okay, it's far enough. It's an hour away. If I bomb, who gives a shit? I'm never going to see these people again. But the funny thing was, I got to know them all, and I would keep going back there. Right. So that's how I started. Shout out to Chris and Peter who comedy, Crow comedy out there. And it's every Monday. It's a great room. It's really nice. It's a brewery. So I kind of did brewery jokes in the beginning because I know that was the crowd. So, yeah.
Okay. Wow. So are you still going all the way over there?
No. I changed my game plan. So I did probably about 12 shows there. I was going almost every Monday. And then I started to do shows in Orange County. LA. So I rarely do shows in San Diego up until about a month ago. I know. But I was just like, oh shoot, I'm getting invited to this show. I'm going to this show. Oh, LA, Hollywood. Yeah, I'm going to go. Right. So a lot of people think I'm an Orange County guy. I only lived there 10 years ago, but I'm a born and raised San Diego, and I grew up out here. So it's almost like I'm brand new to this scene.
So let me say something and see if you would reinforce it. Now, knowing what you know, what would you say to yourself about worrying about bombing? Because bombing is natural. Bombing is part of the process. You shouldn't have been worried about bombing with people around people. You don't want to invite people that you know, right?
No. Well, I thought when I went up that night, it was good because nothing was tested, and they gave us 5 minutes.
Right, but everybody has to understand an open mic is the time to take chances.
Yeah. Well, just getting up there, I was taking a chance. I felt. Sure. I just thought. So while I'm up there, Aaron, I'm like, this is like riding a wave. Like, if you surf, it's like, oh, I dig this. I'm making them laugh out the gate, which was rare. And my buddy Big Frog, who's a local comic in San Diego, he's been giving me advice. And he was saying, Matt, if the three of you were making those people laugh, I'll say this, out of the 25 comics that night, the three of us were in the top 4 of the funniest that night. So, wow. and my buddies are like, oh, we're really good. I'm like, look, it's just a fluke or something, and I did bomb. I did bomb later on. Right, but
Temecula, just the population density in Temecula, I'm sure is not that great.
Right, but I'll say this, there's a lot of comics out there, which is weird. They don't have the distractions we have. You're going to the beach, we're surfing. It's like, so I don't know. It's weird because a small community, there's quite a few comics out that way.
Sure. Maybe they're getting better by performing in front of each other. But the problem about doing just open mics mostly in front of other comics is that you're going to get to a point where the regular audience is going to be shocked by what you're saying.
True, because right, because of the edginess of it. Yeah. So I always thought
laugh by surprise, too raunchy.
Right. Yeah, and it's like I just want to be funny and I want to be myself. So, there's people out there that are trying to shock each other, and I think a lot of the comics want to shock the comics, and I always thought the term a comedian's comedian. Like I heard Dave Attell was one. He's one of my favorites. But I've also heard from other comics that are well established, they're like, you kind of don't want to be the comic's comic. You don't want to be the guy who maybe is offending the whole audience who's paid, but the comics in the back are laughing their asses off because they're probably trying to, they're bored, they're on tour and stuff, and they're like, let's mix it up, let's see how far we can push this. But even though I love Dave Attell, I think sometimes people have that mentality, but whatever, everybody can do whatever they choose, so.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you should just listen to what the audience,
Yeah.
Be in the moment, react to the audience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, sounds like you got addicted to doing comedy right away.
Right away, yeah. I was on a high. I got off the stage, I went outside, I did a little video. I'm like, I had that adrenaline. I'm like, this is crazy. And I started to really inspire and let my friends know you could do it. Like I've told, and some of them have become comics, but not all of them. But everyone can do whatever they want. But I'm like, I'm telling you right now, you can do it. Like, and they're like, no, man, I couldn't do it. But I just want to inspire people that are kind of thinking about it, or right. You could do it. It's not as scary as it looks. I felt that way. Did you feel that way too when you started out?
Yeah, I feel like I wish I would have started comedy earlier. I have posts from 2012 where I was basically writing a joke and posting it on Facebook. And it's like, that's not the best place to do comedy.
Oh, yeah, Facebook, yeah, for sure. All of my friends have been banned on Facebook. I got hacked, so, but yeah. I will say this. I've had a Twitter account for about 5 years now, and that really helped me kind of be witty, and I'd find funny people, and just we'd riff on each other and stuff, and I built up a following of 2,000 people. So I think that helped, and I've always been a writer. So, that's essential. You need to be a comic. So I wasn't great at performing. Like I'm an artist, so I wanted to work on different projects. I've done stuff for storyboards, for commercials and stuff, but I never wanted to be like an actor out in front. I'd rather be the blurry guy in the background. At least I'm on film, but even that, I'd rather be the artist working behind the scenes. So.
Okay. So what is your writing process for comedy?
In the very beginning, I did a lot of Gen X jokes because I'm part of Gen X, and I just got recently booked at the Mic Drop doing the Gen X show, and I've seen a couple of those shows. So I was drawing from life, and then if there's a funny story, and that's the thing too, I'll tell people this is true. Like sometimes I don't even have to add a joke to it. It's just such a funny story. I tell them it's up front. It's true because it's even funnier if it's true. But I will take some true stories, tweak it, like and add on to it and embellish it as best I can. So my writing process, I typically just ideas will come to me at any point of the day, just like a good drawing. Like if I think of a concept, I'm like, I gotta write that down. So sometimes I'm falling asleep and I'll think of something. I'm like, I gotta write that down or say it into my phone because I'll forget it the next day. And I told a joke the other day, my girlfriend laughed, and then later I'm like, what were we talking about? She rattles off a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I remember those, but I don't remember the one I need. So it'll come back to me. But yeah. How about you? What's your writing process? How do you go about it?
No.
You want to reveal those secrets? Oh. That's all right. I'll ask you later. Sure.
So who's the funniest person in your life right now?
In my life? Yeah. My girlfriend Monica, of course. Justin Fox. He's a comic out of Hemet. Walter Ford, I got to meet. He's hilarious and a nice guy, as is Justin. They know each other. Let's see, who am I running into? I met Adam Hunter at a show that Rich the Stitch did, and he does a great show once a month at a poorhouse. Adam was hilarious, like
right,
it's so fast.
Some of the people maybe you just kind of know, like besides your girlfriend, like who's, you know what I mean? Like who are you texting?
Oh,
like who's?
Oh, you mean other comics or anybody? Yeah, I talk to Justin almost every day. My friend Tyler Geffany, he's one of the guys was going to go to Solaris. He's very funny, has great stage presence. Me, him, and Justin have kind of, we're a team and we help each other out and do shows together. Let's see, who else? Just friends of mine, family relatives that I trust, and we'll run a joke by, and Big Frog too. Like some of my greatest hits, he's like, "Oh, this is killer," and if I can make him laugh, that's the Dat Fan has been a huge help to me. I reached out to him. I thought he was doing shows up in Hermosa Beach for some reason. He was doing it looked like an open mic, but they're actually like booked shows, and so that's why I was going to Hollywood a lot. So I took like 2 classes with him. And I got to perform in front of him and his audience, and he always films it, gives you the footage afterwards, and so he's kind of like the pro that I know. So.
Wow, that's really cool. All right, so I asked this to everybody. I don't always remember what the answer is, but when did we meet?
I remember seeing you on my 3rd ever show, and it was at Quantum. So I had done 2 shows at Solaris, and I was doing 5 minutes each time, and it was all new stuff each time. Because in the beginning, I just wanted to throw as much stuff on the wall and see what sticked. And so I actually did that for the first 10 shows I ever did. 5 minutes, 50 minutes. They're not all great hits, but I'm just trying to see what's working. And I did, my 3rd show was at Quantum, and I got there early. They put me on dead last. I sat through 30 comics. And by the end of the time, by the time I go up, everybody's outside smoking. I got 8 people in the crowd. Not to throw you under the bus, but it was only 8 Gen Zers. Half of them are on their phone. And I'm up there telling these jokes that worked at Solaris. And I only had 3 minutes. And I'm like, a minute and a half in. I'm like, thinking I'm bombing. No laughs. And I'm like, this shit killed in Temecula. And 2 people laugh. I go, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. And then I got 1 joke out towards the end, and they laughed. But I'm like, that's,
That's part of
It just,
the process.
I know, but I sat through 31 comics, and they should have been more people in there. Not 8 people who straggled in for a beer that didn't care if a comedy show was going on or not. So, but Dad always says, "Matt, it's important. You got to bomb. You got to bomb." So, I don't care. I don't care. I haven't cared in a while. We're doing a gong show at my brewery soon, and my buddy Eric Thornquist, he's like, "Matt, it's going to scare off all the shitty comics. It's going to be the best of the best." And then I'm like, "Well, if it's the best of the best, no one's going to get gonged." I go, "I'll go up there and bomb on purpose to get the gong, to get the laugh. So I'll do anything for a laugh." So.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, at Quantum, I'm trying to make it a good show, and that's probably the first time I saw you. So it's like.
Yeah, no, and I get it. Yeah, because and that was only my third show ever, so I don't blame you for it wasn't you. I'll say that it wasn't you that put me on last. But I would tell my friends it's kind of rough in there, and I think overall it was a younger crowd, so I knew to not tell the Gen X jokes. And then I told this one girl, she was really good, and I said, "Do you think I should have told my Star Wars joke in front of this crowd?" She's all, "Matt, I don't know what Star Wars is." I'm like, "Oh shit, I am old." So that's why I'm really embracing this Gen X show. I'm pulling out the greatest hits that I've been doing, but I also want to, have like a deep dive into Gen X. Like I'm going to talk about Cal Worthington, the candy bars we used to have to sell, when we were in school and stuff. So I want to really, and I'm going to have visual aids too. Like I'm going to hold up signs, little references, and I won't even have to explain it. I'm just going to, as I'm telling the joke, show, a flyer or a poster of somebody or something from the 80s. So.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Let's see. Do you have a hobby or passion that's not related to comedy?
I absolutely do. Yeah, I kind of run in like 4 or 5 realms. I started to draw at the age of 3, so I'm 47 years into being a cartoonist, artist, illustrator. I've always been a freelance artist. I got to work full-time as a t-shirt artist at No Fear and Quicksilver as well, and then I also did 66 designs for the Tony Hawk clothing line. So it was a lot of cartoon imagery of different various animals skateboarding. That was kind of like my niche there. I like saltwater fishing a lot. I skateboard, I surf, and I work in the beer industry. So I always kind of say I'm running in the surf and skate realm, and then I got the comedy realm, and then the art realm as well. So pretty much like 3 circles. And I was thinking the other day, it's like I wouldn't want to just do one and have it be just skateboarding or just art. Like it's nice to kind of take those breaks, be active, surfing and skating, and then writing jokes and doing some artwork and creating a logo or doing a flyer. That's fun for me. So
do you have any of your own merch?
I'm starting to. I'm cultivating now that I'm like, okay, I'm gaining some traction. Now my friends are finally coming out to see me, and I'm really good at promoting. I work at a brewery, and I've always helped all the breweries I worked with. We'd put on events, and I always did the graphics and the T-shirts and everything. So now I'm like, okay, I got the Ice logo. You see it on the ice box at liquor stores and stuff. So my little nephew bought me a shirt that says Ice, and I go by Matty though. Don't call me Ice, but so I just thought that's funny, and I even joke about it, in my act where I act like my name came up from a liquor store. So I kind of have, and I think I'm one of the few comics to ever come out of the beer industry in San Diego to be a comic. Right. Although, I'm forgetting his name right now. There was a really good comic, Zane Lamprey. Yeah, I forget who it is exactly. He did a show at Grain Flash, a comedy show. So I helped set up his stage. I just happened to walk in that day because they were going to let me come to the show. I got there early, and they're like, "Matt, we're kind of stressed out. They want the stage over here." And I'm like, "Oh," I grabbed a bunch of kegs, piled it up, threw some tarps, threw some stuff, and he loved it. And I just did it on the spot. I took out all the posters and banners we had and made a cool, funky, little edgy stage, and he loved it. I'm forgetting his name right now, but so yeah, a couple weeks ago I did a logo where it's Matty, it's written in like snow, and then the Ice logo has like big blocky red letters with snow on top. So I'm kind of going with that for right now. Yeah, and then a couple little reference to some jokes that I do, T-shirts, but that'll be coming out this summer.
Yeah.
How about-
What about stickers? You ever do stickers?
That's in the works too. I want to do the t-shirts first and then the stickers. So yeah. Do you know do a lot of art, comics? I said artists. Comics are artists. A lot of is everybody's having logos around town because I haven't seen any yet. But
It's like a lot of comics don't mess with merch.
oh,
They're like, oh, I'll do it later.
okay.
It's like, back in college and like early 2000s, I was like, it wasn't a comic, but I was like trying to like do T-shirts, and then I stopped because I never sold anything.
Yeah, and it seems like all the big comics I see. I did a show in Las Vegas, and then afterwards we went over to the Rio, and we got to see. Oh, I'm blanking on his name right now. He was on Saturday Night Live, and he had merch, and we bought some merch. He had T-shirts and hats. He did the sausage. What was it? The hat I got? Sausage something, and he actually built a character and used it for Saturday Night Live. But I did the research. And it was a girl in the audience that was drunk at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, and she had that kind of, how do you say it, that Kardashian speak, the vocal fry, and she's drunk, and she's doing a great impression of her. So you go on Saturday Night Live and put a blonde wig on, kind of like, I can't stand those type of women. But she was drunk and heckling him, and so he created that character off of her.
Wow, that's cool. So do you wish you started comedy earlier?
I've been happy just with all the things I've been doing. Like everything's going right over the last couple of years, and I've been really happy and stoked. And I don't know. Like I think it happened when it happened, and it was a good time. I will say this: I think I could have done it way earlier. Like I had the talent, but I just didn't believe in myself, or didn't. I said I wanted to do it, but I kept putting it on the back burner, kind of like the people with the stickers, because I was like, "Oh, I'm doing well with my art," and it's like the comedy the idea kind of faded away, but I never forgot it. I could have been 60 or 70, been like, I need to take that class. And, so that's why I encourage people, do it. And I'll say this, Aaron, like, I had quit a job, and about 2 weeks later, that open mic at Solaris that I went to for the first time ever happened. And that gave me a lot of confidence. Like, I had confidence before, so I had 2 interviews at 2 other breweries, and I was being myself, and I was funny, but I didn't get the jobs. Oh, that happened. I'm sorry. That happened before the comedy show. And then after the comedy show, I had 2 more interviews at a bar and grill in a newer brewery, and I got those jobs. So I totally attribute that attitude, the confidence, even though my resume was killer, like it helped. Yeah, like it totally helped. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. So what are your goals in comedy right now?
My goal right now this year, and I already wrote it, I used to do this with my art. I would make a resume of what I already did, and then I'd have another resume that said not yet. So I was putting it in writing. I used to, so right now I have a lineup of the places I want to go. One is the Ice House. I didn't realize how iconic it was, but I liked it because of the names. I'm Matty Ice at the Ice House. And Flappers, I dropped in and saw a couple friends of mine perform there. It's a cool little venue, and of course it's Hollywood and Burbank, so I have that on my list. The LA Comedy Store, I went to see a bunch of comics, a great show for $30. Like Bill Burr got added at the last second. It's still a crazy show without him, but it was so cool. So I want to, play either like the original room or the belly room or whatever. Like that's such a legendary spot as well. So I want to hit the big clubs in LA. That's definitely on my list. I made a little list of stuff, of other ones. So yeah, that's for the summer. And then Justin and I and Tyler, we were going to perform with our friend Jill. We're going to do a couple shows on Catalina Island. We've been reaching out to some spots. So we want to hit like 2 or 3 right now. We just have one. And I just thought it'd be cool. Island, and Jill used to live there. And our comedy, it's all different, but it kind of fits. So we just have fun, and we just want to bar hop and kind of do a show. And then we're definitely going back to Las Vegas. That'll be my 3rd time. And we're trying to get the first show I ever did was at Stedham's Skate Shop Lounge, and he did a band, his live band played on a Saturday night, and then I was the only comic, so I opened for them. And then we did Rick's Barbecue. So the guy who, Rick, he does the Pawn Star show, and next door he has a bar and grill barbecue place, which is almost the best barbecue of all time. And then up above he has a bar, and they do comedy there on Wednesday night. So we got booked for that.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Thanks.
So do you have like, what's your best booking story? Either you booked a comic, you're like, I can't believe we booked this comic, or you got booked on a show that you were just like, oh my goodness.
I'm always honored when I get booked, and I probably think the best one, I'd done like 3 shows. I did like, the open mic at the Comedy Store, and I think I did Jazzy Wishbone that Thursday, and probably DATS on Friday, so I was driving to LA coming back. And then I really wanted to see a show that Rich the Stitch did, and it was on Sunday. And I'm like, I just want to go to a show. Like, I think it's important to go to a show. Just go to a show. Don't go be there to perform. Like, go and watch. And so I was kind of like, so I get there kind of early, and I'm on the phone with Justin, and Rich the Stitch is walking back and forth, and he's, I can tell he's trying to talk to me. And he's all, Matty, one of the comics dropped out. Can you want to go up tonight? And I was already in that mindset. I don't want to go up. But when he asked me, I'm like, and he was going to give me 10 minutes, and I'm like, I said, give me 5, I'll do it. And so I did. So that was cool. And then I'll say this too, Aaron, you probably experienced it. Like, I'll go to see like Joe Samo, and then I run into, he introduces me to John Bird, and then Joe out the gate says, whatever favor I owe you, John, throw Matty on your show. And then he says, without ever seeing a joke from me, he's all, Matt, I'll give you 10 minutes in Huntington anytime you want. So I encourage comics, go to a show just to watch a show. You're going to walk out there with a gig. You might even be, being put on stage that night. And it was cool because, they're giving you drink tickets and giving you money. And I'm like, I do this stuff for free. So thank you, Rich. And yeah, so I have a couple stories like that where you just show up, and that's how I got on the Gen X show. And so, let's see. Yeah, so I don't think I've booked anybody. We're now working on our second show at the brewery. So.
All right, cool. So do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Like someone's like, oh my goodness, you were great, or maybe you were a fan of someone else.
Let's see. When I went to DATS for the first time ever, he would put on shows like 3, 4, 5 times a week in his guest house in his backyard. And that did up nice because during COVID, everybody was Zooming. He was one of the first to Zoom and do like open mics throughout the world. And so he converted this house into a state-of-the-art killer studio. It had like, I don't know, it felt like it had like 15 flat screen big TVs, and he had a stage and everything. And I remember Jan, I think Cram is her last name, I can't quite remember. She was on the show the following week, and she had been on Seinfeld, but I had known her as a comic before all that. I mean, I didn't know her, I just knew of her. Uh-huh. So then I missed that show, but I went the following week, and then my buddy Jay, he was doing a show with Dat, but then had a show at Flappers, and then I ran into Jan there, and she's like, Matty, you going up tonight? Like, I introduced myself first. I said, hi, Jan, we have a fellow, comic friend, and she was very nice and very funny that night. And then she's like, Matty, you going up next? And I told my mom and dad the next day, I'm like, I can't believe this. A pro comic from Seinfeld's asking me if I'm going to go up on stage. I'm like, this is crazy. She knew nothing about me. She was just being nice. But a lot of the comics that I've met have been very nice and very supportive. I'm sure there's other stories. That one just sticks out because it was the first one. So. But I've had people come up to me. That was really funny. Like the other night, it was cool because you were there. That room was full of Gen Zers, and I'm working on my Gen X shit. And then I didn't think some of it was flying, but overall they all liked me. And then when I'm leaving, 2 women came out and they're like, "You were very funny," and they were my age. I'm like, "Yeah, you get it. Thank you." And just it's nice when anybody compliments you. Sometimes I think I bomb it. I had a rough set in him at one time, and Justin comes up and says, "Oh, Matty, you did good." I'm like, "Justin, you're just saying that to be nice." No, I know I fucking bombed. And then the crowd actually turned on me. I was talking about the Padres, getting them all amped up. They're happy. And I said, fuck the Chargers. And they're like throwing shit at me. And like, then I turn on them like, oh, here's all the 7 Charger fans. I know you guys are living in heaven all these years. I go, you guys are like a endangered species. I'm like, we don't have you guys in San Diego. They're getting pissed. You guys are like unicorns. There's Bigfoot. There's a unicorn. They were getting mad. So that was rough. Then Justin goes, I want to put you on one of my shows. I'm like, yeah, right. So I do have a show at Hemet, but I will not speak ill will of the Chargers.
So do you have like a favorite joke? It could be anybody's joke.
Favorite joke, anybody's joke. Absolute favorite. I love Dave Chappelle's Killing Them Softly. I love that. I almost have it memorized. I love that one. The part where he goes, my girlfriend and I was always joke about this. Like the other day, she's like, oh, I know what it was. We were in Liberty Station. Have you been there before? It's got all these little funky shops and stuff.
I think so.
But then you go to another spot, and it's like a long row of art and like tea places. And she loves tea. So I see this back door, and it's open, and there's a sign. So I'm like, okay, this is the tea shop. But there's a bathroom, 2 bathrooms. She's like, where are you taking me? And she's quoting me, quoting him, gun store, liquor store, gun store, liquor store. So it means, remember when he's going to the ghetto, he's in the limo. And he's like, where are you taking me? And the driver's like, Dave looks outside, he sees gun store, liquor store. So he's going to the ghetto, and it's getting creepy and stuff. So that's probably my favorite part. And also when he sees the baby on the corner selling drugs. But I'll say that Dave Chappelle, anything he does is great, but I love that part the best.
That's cool. So what's your favorite place to do comedy?
Let's see. Dad's room was very supportive, and they were very talented. It was like, they're in movies, they're in background actors, they're actors, they're, just comic writers. They were out, everybody there was like putting on their own show somewhere in LA. And that was a great room. We all kind of bonded as a family. When Dad moved, he invited us all to his house on like the day he was moving, and we all showed up, and then there's more people you're meeting, and it really was like a family, and you never knew who you were going to see. Usually there was the same 3 or 4 people, but then they're all rotating out, and then, if I get booked on there, other people like jumping on, or if I see them, oh, I'm definitely going to this show because it's got 3 of my favorites. So it's like, that was a great spot. I felt the most comfortable performing for the first time ever at the Comedy Store. I have so much respect for that stage. In my mind, even though I was like 8 months in, I knew I wasn't going to play it for another year, but I went to an open mic, and they must have just had a bad night, because I'm like, whoa, I've never seen so much bombs on a stage. So I'm like, that's it. I'm doing this shit next week. And it seems like they kind of favor new faces and new names. So I got picked, and then I got picked a couple weeks. Yeah, no, I get it. But so when I was nervous, because I'm like, it's a Comedy Store. Bless you. Comedy Store. And then as soon as I walked, yeah. Okay. So as soon as the LA ones, yeah. As soon as I walked on stage, and I had no one in the audience, because they pick your name at 4. I got to scramble, text everybody. I can't make it. I'm working late. This, that, all my friends. So I get up there, and there was like 60 people in the crowd, and as I'm walking up there, I was just relaxed. And one thing Dad taught me was the pauses, and I had that going for me. And then it was just a great set that I did that night. I've only been there twice, but it felt good in there. So, nice. But I love any room that's got a great audience. That's the room, There's been better crowds. I think the crowd at Mic Drop the other day when you were there, I thought that was a killer. Yeah. Supportive comics who laugh, pay attention, stay for the show. That's a rule for all you guys and girls. And then an audience of just, I always call them regular people. Normal people. Not like us. They're not like us.
It's a great, but it's like I'm struggling getting people that aren't already coming to Quantum to go to Quantum Brewing. It's like so close, and like doing a writing group on Saturdays,
I want to go to that,
4:30 to 6, and people are like, oh, okay, like it's like they seem like they're interested, but then they don't come.
So is it the class part that's throwing them off, or?
Well, I mean, I only started back up the writing group. It's not a class.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's free,
I'd love to do that. I have to work at 5 every Saturday, so I was blessed because I used to work Thursday nights, so I never went to the open mic. And my mic drop's 5 minutes from my house, which is funny because I've only performed there like 4 or 5 times now. But it's kind of like that thing. Like I wanted to get good before I started to play San Diego again. But who gives a shit? It doesn't matter.
Go to the closest open mic.
Exactly. I spent a lot of gas. I'll tell you, I spent a lot of gas. My truck's a gas guzzler. I was in LA like every other week for a while. So, but yeah, it's kind of funny. I just crack up. People are like, I thought you were an LA guy, man. I'm like, no, I'm born and raised here. So, yeah, I'm a new face. I'm an old new face for San Diego.
So, what was your family like growing up?
It was really good. My mom and dad. I'm their oldest child. I have a younger sister and a younger brother. They're both taller than me, so I tell them I've always looked up to them. We went to Catholic school, which was rough. I did time. I told Dad was worried. He goes, Matt, we had to. Dad likes to Zoom everybody before he invites them to their house, and I get it, and. I think I kind of came off with a little too much energy on the phone with him. He's like, what the hell? Like, I'm acting like I know him, which I kind of, my girlfriend went to high school with him. Me and him went to the same community college at the same time. We didn't know each other. But Dad's like, I think you're, I just screen you, Matt, because, you white people, you remind me of serial killers. But I told him, I said, Dad, I've done some time. And, I get up on stage the first time in his house. I'm like, I just want to let Dad know I've done some time. 9 years Catholic school. He's like, oh, shit. So, I went to Catholic school, went to Valhalla High School, community colleges, San Diego State. Always drew throughout my life. Family life was fun. We did a lot of camping trips, Yosemite, houseboating. My dad and I liked to saltwater fish. You go to Baja a lot. Funny stories about that. He took my little brother. My brother was like 14 or 15. And then we'd go down there and we'd drive my mom's Jeep like off-roading. My brother would be our designated driver out in the fucking desert and shit. And, getting in, my dad drove one time, stuck in a big ass pothole in the sand. There's potholes on the road, but it was rough. But we had funny times. My mom and dad are very humorous too, so it's always fun. My sister's a riot. I thought my sister would be the comic. Her and my dad, they light up a room. They're the party starters. Every time's a good time with them. And, I was kind of like the shy, quiet, artistic one. And my sister's a freaking riot. And I told her, Krista, you should be a stand-up comic. You have it. She's like, I do stand-up comedy every day in front of those 30 kids. And then she's so funny that her fellow teachers are like, all right, Krista, what happened today? And then she does a 10-minute set before they all go home. And I've used one of my sister's stories. It's a true story, and I've used it in my comedy set. So I changed her name. It's nothing bad, but thanks. So yeah, it's been fun, and my brother's witty too. Good times.
So, what is your earliest memory
of anything?
Yeah.
I kind of have a couple. I remember I was telling my girlfriend this, like. My mom and dad, we lived in Santee, and when I was like 3.5, we were moving to Escondido, and I remember just standing on the sidewalk, and I used to think that what is it called? The radio tower, I think that's on the top of Cowles Mountain. It kind of looked like a castle to me. Like I always, as a little kid, I thought it was a castle. And I got, the movie truck's there, and I'm sitting on the corner. It's a Saturday morning, and I'm looking at it with like a little sadness to me, and I'm like, well, Castle, I'm never gonna see you again. And it's like, it was so weird. It's like I'm like a little sentimental kid at 3. I'm like, what the hell? Like I'm not thinking about, a new bigger house, or it's got, the new house got orange trees in the backyard and the front yard. No, I'm like, oh well, Castle, I'll see you later. But I was already inspired by Disney. Like my mom gave me a bunch of books. I was already drawing at that time, and I live in Tierra Santa now. I can walk out of my house and see the damn what's left of that radio tower, and I'm always like thinking, remember, there it is again. Like, here I thought I'd see it for the last time. Everybody, when you're a kid, you don't realize,
Cool.
So that, I think that's my youngest memory. I know there's photos of my dad and his buddy taking me to Mission Beach, and I'm laying on a blanket with a little baseball hat on, and they're giving me Coors Light, and I'm sipping on it. I'm like, oh, that explains a lot.
That's awful. So let's see. You do cartoon and drawing and stuff. So have you ever made your own comic book? Or?
I've done illustrations of like a comic strip for different companies. They'll tell me what they need. I've done storyboards. I did like 72 panels for a commercial. I've done storyboards for Red Lobster, a bunch of companies no one's heard of. But that art never sees the light of day. It's just for the director to see. But I remember there was like a comic book style character, like with padded muscles and stuff, and it was really high-end production. It was for a computer convention in Las Vegas. It was shot in San Diego. I got to be on set for that, and I remember the actor who's in this like little puffy suit. It was blue and white. I don't know what his name was, and he's all, damn. And then they had puppets and shit. And they were pretty cool looking. So I had to look at the puppets, draw them cartoon style. But I did really fine line art. It wasn't the typical sketchy storyboard. I remember the actor's like, he's all, damn. He's all, I wish this commercial shoot looked as cool as the storyboard. So that was a cool compliment. I got to help them out behind the scenes. I've developed a lot of different characters, but they're just kind of illustrations for the Tony Hawk T-shirts or No Fear. I cartooned Travis Pastrana, Tony.
I mean, have you thought about doing your own stories?
No, because I mean, back in the day, I thought as a little kid, as a third, fourth grader, I thought like Charles Schultz and Jim Davis were my idols. Like I thought, okay, I want to do what these guys do. But as time went on, I'm like, even though I wanted to do, and I did some animation, you're drawing the same character over and over, and I get bored with that after a couple months. And even at No Fear, I'm like, okay, they're only letting us use black, red, and silver and white. Those are boring colors. Like, there's only so much you could do, so many skulls you could draw. And then I thought to myself, I can only handle this for about 5 years. And then I got laid off about a year later. Then I go to Quicksilver, and I'm like, okay, so much surf stuff, that's getting old after a while. And, I got laid off there. All these companies were going bankrupt. It wasn't because of me. So I'm like, I hate to say this, no, hire me, but don't. So if you're a surf skate company, don't hire me. I'm joking.
That's cool. Okay.
But I will say this, I've been going to Comic-Con since 1989. I was 14 years old. I've only missed a couple years. I was getting burned out of it towards the later part because I'm just getting older. I can't stand the crowds, but it's very inspiring. I was never a comic book fan, but I like the comic strips. Calvin and Hobbes, huge influence. Far Side, those two were the greatest. Those are the Michael Jordans of comic strips. But yeah, I was inspired by them, but never wanted to pursue the comic strip.
I mean, you could always do like a Far Side where the characters can change everything.
Absolutely, and I thought of that at one point because I got to know a lot of heavy-duty cartoonists, and I got to go to the Reuben Awards at one time, and I thought if I was to do it, it was going to be that type of thing because you could draw anything every day, and it doesn't limit you because if you have like Dennis the Menace and his mom and dad, there's only so much you could do with that. It's almost pigeonholing yourself. Where Gary Larson, it's like me and you could have done a comic. You know what I mean? Like that would have been killer.
That's the thing too. Like it would be also a good idea, or an idea is like to work with other people. Like you could be the artist and you could write some of them, or like maybe I could have, I would write what I wanted and you would draw.
Right. Yeah.
Collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot there because I don't think there is one cartoonist. I'm forgetting his name now. I met him. Dan Ferraro. Yes, really good artist. I love, and he followed that kind of style or however you say it, genre, where it was like that. Every day's different. He would hide a little cherry pie in his comics. Are you familiar with Dan Ferraro? Because he did stand-up later on, so that's why I bring his name up. And he was a cool guy. I met him at those Reuben Awards in Florida,
Yeah, also there's like the New Yorker, right?
Yes.
Like very prestigious.
Oh, absolutely. The New York. I was telling my girlfriend the other day, the New Yorker and Playboy magazine were the two. You would think they're like one's really classy and one's classy for its genre. Those two paid the greatest for comics, and I knew multiple Playboy cartoonists. Two of them lived in San Diego, and I mean Playboy was paying good money, as did the New Yorker. If you got even one illustration in either one of those, your career was set. So, and Hef was a huge. Hef was a cartoonist himself, but he idolized a lot of the greats like Milt Kniff. Marilyn was. Here we go on a tangent, folks. Marilyn Monroe was in the first issue. Of course, it sold for Playboy. Of course, it sold a lot, but he needed something big for issue number 2, and he had Milt Kniff do pinups of drawings of sexy women. And that helped issue 2 to get going, and then they were kind of off and rolling. So he Hef paid well for those comics. Yes, there's some great illustrations in all the eras. Not that I've seen them all, but I've seen a few. I only read it for the comic illustrations, folks.
Exactly. So, would you ever do or do you do a character on stage, or would you ever do one?
Oh yeah, I think. So so my first jobs in the beer industry were working beer booths at beer fests. So when I'm there, we're allowed to throw a couple back, be a little buzzed, and I'm funny no matter what. I don't need to drink to be funny, but I like that when I'm in that kind of loose realm of being buzzed, and I've learned to take that kind of version of me, even though if I'm not drinking, amp myself up. So I actually think me on stage, I have to be a caricature of myself. So it's like, people think I'm like Mr. Party Animal. I didn't go to a lot of parties in high school. I didn't go to any in high school, but I did at San Diego State. But you know what I mean? So it's like, I tried to bring that high energy. I'll tell you a comic I really like. He had passed away. I got to email him back and forth before I even thought of being a comic, and his name is Eric Myers. And I think pound for pound, he was one of the greatest. He does one of his greatest ones was when he's bashing Circus, and he's like, resort fees, what's going on? Resort? Where's the resort at? Behind the bearded lady? Like, this isn't, sandals in Jamaica. And I tried to emulate when I was going to Dad's house. I had Eric in my mind, not the material, but the way, because I would show up, I was like Tasmanian Devil. I'm trying to get as many jokes, because if I'm driving 2 hours to LA, when Dad gives me 7 to 10 minutes, I'm trying to get as much jokes as I can out of them, and it's rapid fire. And then Dad's like, you gotta slow down, Matt, you gotta pause. And I thought I was pausing, but I have a lot of energy up there. So that's probably the character, if you're asking. I'm not like that. Like the other day I thought, okay, I'm in a room with people I don't know. I'm friendly. I'm talking to people, but I'm kind of focusing on my set. I'm going to add stuff. I'm hearing stuff. So, I'm kind of quiet, but then I'm getting on stage. It's like, boom. It's like, exploding out of the box or whatever. So I think I'm true to myself. I also like that too. Living in the moment, seeing the crowd, asking some questions. Not that I do crowd work, but just kind of riffing off of people or what happened earlier. I think that goes huge, because then they realize, whether you're a comic or an audience member, he's present, he's in the moment. Like that set I did the other day, I didn't even get to like 3 of my bigger jokes, and I'm like, I kind of like slowing this down and talking about the Padres and going off on a tangent, and it was still funny. And I'll say this, my greatest laughs come from those little moments. Like one time I was talking about Cougars on my first ever set, and then I just threw in, I used to hang out in Del Mar. I didn't think it would hit. I just threw it up on the spot, but in Temecula, they were laughing at that big. I'm like, and then the other night I said some joke about Night Parade Brewery where I work. We have no responsibility or no reliability on what any one of these comics is going to say tonight. And that got the biggest laugh. I didn't say it like that. I don't know. But I'm like, oh, that joke worked the best? So, yeah. I think being present, being truthful in the moment, that goes a long way. Whether it's a callback from somebody earlier or yourself. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool.
Thank you.
So have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
No, but I have the confidence now to be in one. So I reached out to Christopher Taylor. Wait, what's his name? Christopher Keith Tyler. Sorry. He runs the shows and the Temecula Comedy fest, and they just had started doing their kind of like battles and stuff, and I wrote him, and he said they're all booked, but if anybody drops out, he'll get me on. I'm just going to go and show support anyways and watch, but
you ever go to like the roast battle?
I want to. My work schedule hasn't allowed me to go to any of those, but I'll get those working. Yeah. I know there's a good thing to say about me, so, but I'm not afraid. I don't mind. So.
Well, I mean, you just go to watch. No one's going to roast you until you get on stage.
Right. Oh, I know that. And that was the thing too. I'll say this. Even though I loved comedy from age 21 on, I never liked sitting in the front because it felt like back then, if you sit in the front, you're screwed. They're going to make fun of you. And I remember I got to see Darren Carter, who was very funny. And my friends and I went, and they sat us in the front. I'm like, oh no! And sure enough, he's ripping on my one friend. He didn't mention me. I got to know Darren. I got to message him a bunch, and then I ran into him up in L.A. And very nice guy. He's one of my favorites too, and he's like on the spot witty and stuff. So, yeah. But that was the thing. I love comedy, but I never liked sitting in the front. And not that they ever roasted me. I would just sit there being scared. I'm like watching a show, trying to enjoy it, and then I'm like, they're gonna make fun of me or whatever. But yeah, but I think now these days the audience is like, I want to be roasted.
Speaking of which, what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
The worst thing. I heard about this happening in LA where they're booking people who, I don't know if the word is influencers, but people not necessarily are comics, but they have a lot of following. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's just say it's like some actress, and she's only been acting her whole life, never wrote a damn thing. Or I don't mean to say just actress, actor too. Maybe they're known for something, and then now they think, oh, I'm going to dip into comedy, which, people can do whatever they want, but the bookers are like, oh, we want that person as the headline, because they know that's going to get butts in the seats. But it's like, okay, every comic, I guarantee it's going up before them is going to be the better one. And then, we had this conversation.
It makes sense, too, to like put them at the end because you don't want the audience leading after they see.
True. And so I thought about that because I was getting mad about that. And during the conversation, I'm like, yeah, it's not right. They're, but then I'm like, you know what? Bring in these girls who fart in a jar and get, or whatever they do, and put them on, and I'll open for any. I don't want to open for her. But, you say it's some goofy niche thing, and then just because they're famous on Instagram, I'll be on that show, and we'll just show them the cream's going to rise to the top. It might take years, but if I'd rather have a full house.
Yeah, you just got to expose yourself to be in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah. I'll give you an example, like Madonna. She went on stage for the first time ever. She did 30 minutes. I mean, good for her. But she bombed left and right, like total bomb. So who is she to think like, give me 30 minutes and not have these other comics do a bigger set? And then she freaking bombs the shit out of the place. But I did see 10 years earlier, she went on Jimmy Fallon's show. She was funnier in that set. She's talking about dating younger dudes, dating older dudes. She was funny and had charisma because she has charisma. I'd seen her on MTV doing interviews. Like, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger's way funnier in person in an interview. He's good. He has comedic timing, but he's so funny in person, or not, real life. Madonna's probably like the same thing, but when she did that show, people were saying, oh, well, the only funny part was when she cussed. I'm all, she kind of built her empire, her persona as being an edgy person who cussed. We've all heard her cuss before. It's not it's because she's an old grandma now. It's funny that she's cussing. I don't know what that part was. Yeah. So,
well, everybody can have an off night or.
Yeah, true.
Let's see. So, do you enjoy watching other people work on jokes?
Sometimes it gets old. That's why I always did 5 minutes. And Dad told me, he's like, Matt, it's hard to teach you because you come up here with 10 new minutes every time. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a whole new set. But then I'm like, all right, I told him I'd have old stuff, but then I'd have 5 minutes old and then 5 minutes of new. So I I kind of get bored. Sometimes everybody's got their own deal, but like sometimes people are kind of robotic up there, and you don't have to tell the joke the same way. You don't have to set it up the same way.
But there's reasons to do the same joke over and over.
True. Yes, because I got them by
It's because you're developing your comedy voice.
Right.
And if you're also in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
you'll like start riffing.
Yes.
And then you'll just make the joke better.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can take some of that stuff and incorporate it into the joke.
Yes.
And you're expanding it.
Yeah, I agree. I
like
agree.
I have, the reason probably people know me for my pretzel joke is I've been doing it for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and I just keep adding puns
Yes.
to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then there was a time where I had so many puns in it
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't even just use them all.
Yeah, make
You
each.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
sometimes it'll be like, okay, they're tired of this. So now I'm gonna
Surprise them.
Stop.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I totally get it, because I was doing throw everything and anything to the wall. Then, like 6-7 months later, I'm like, okay, let's work on these hits, and then expand them, and then also, I didn't want to get bored with it too. Like I try to keep it interesting for me and fresh for me, because.
You're getting bored with it.
Well, I'm getting bored. I'm getting bored with
If
it.
you're getting bored with it, then you have to like set the joke to the side.
Yes, yeah, and then reintroduce some classic ones and work on those, expand those, bring in new stuff, work on that for a while, expand them, and then. But now I'm like, okay, what am I? And I'll look at the room too, Aaron. Like, okay, is there a lot of older women at the brewery tonight? Okay, I'm gonna do all the shopping jokes, the Ross joke. Stuff about Gen X, and then when I went to Quantum, I was trying, like, pull from the younger stuff or current events and stuff. But I also kind of always do a cultural one, usually like kind of like pop culture joke, and then like something in the news, and of course something about like me. So that way some people have something to grab onto. If I'm doing a brewery, a lot of them, I've done probably like 6 or 7 different breweries over the year, and I'll definitely dive into working at a brewery and the stories and stuff like that. And kind of like my home turf when it's those.
Well, yeah, you should just keep coming back to Quantum Brewing.
I will, yeah. I'm excited. I'll be on that show soon on a Friday. So.
Oh yeah, you're featuring, right?
Yeah.
Nice. And then let's see. Have you ever been in a car accident?
Yeah. Oh shit. I'll do the recent one. My car got totaled. I was driving every Tuesday night. Nice. No, I'm just joking. Every Tuesday night.
Nice in the fact that it makes a good story.
No,
it's a podcast.
This story sucks.
Oh,
all right. So every Tuesday, I'm very blessed to know Steve Caballero. He's a legendary skateboarder. And when I was 10 years old, I knew who him and Tony and Mike McGill were. And I got to do some artwork for all of them and everything. So Steve's an artist as well. So I got to go to his house every Tuesday. There's like 6 or 7 of us artists throughout San Diego. We all get to go to Steve's house and hang out and draw. And, just it's a great, bonding and inspiring. And we've done art shows together. So I'm leaving his house and I take a different road. I get on the freeway. There was a bunch of little things that played into that night. Me and my friend Eric stayed at Cab's house for a little while. We had like really meaningful conversations, and it was a great night. And then I'm taking some weird ass way home, get on the freeway. I'm driving. I got lights. It felt like Pee-wee's Big Adventure with the headlights are in his eyes or whatever. And it's in my rearview mirror. And I'm freaking out going, this guy is on my ass like never before. He's in a lifted Suburban thing. And I'm freaking out. I get chills talking about it now. Pitch dark. He's on me. And I have enough time to say, what the fuck? And I start honking my horn to let him know, dude, what the hell? So I'm speeding up as I'm doing this as best I can. And then I'm like, 8 seconds later, he slams into me. And I'm pissed, freaked out, and I'm scared because, he hit me hard. And my neck was sore for a while. And I pull over, and he doesn't show up. And then I did see a car. Oh, wait, take it back. I saw a car pull over, but I didn't know if it was him. And then I went to the next exit, And he shows up, and I'm just pissed. And I'm all, are you the motherfucker who hit me? And then he's an Indian guy, and he gets out, and he's all smiling and laughing. And I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? Then the cops, I'd called the cops. And then I also called Steve. I go, Steve, you're the only one that's up right now. I hate to bug you. It's Steve Cavallero. And I'm like, he's like, Matty, you okay? I can come down and get you. I'm like, no, I just wanted to let you know where you're the only one probably up that I know. I don't want to freak my girlfriend out. And I'm just like, and he's like, I'll come down. And he's like, send me pictures. And I mean, the back end, I thought he hit he smashed the shit out of the back, but it's mostly like the last half in the corner. But my car, I drove it for a couple more days and it just died on me. And then, so yeah, it totaled. And so, yeah, it's been.
So, why did he crash into it?
Well, you know, when you're in Del Mar and you hop on that freeway, a lot of cars are just driving fast, but he was able to, I think he turned and got on the freeway, but moved over 2 lanes to the left. And I don't know what his deal was, because he wasn't behind me for the long, he just came out of nowhere and just, I mean, I had enough time to honk, and then he still hits me. It scared, I mean, the whole car like jumped. Well, I thought he was drunk or stoned, and then the cops didn't even ask him that. And I was like livid, and the guy's like walking, he's following me around. I'll stay the fuck away. Like, he was just, I'm like, stay away from me, you're annoying me right now. And he's just smiling like an idiot. I'm like, this is surreal. Yeah, so that was my latest one.
So
I'd been.
Does his insurance cover?
They covered it all. Yeah, so not fun. I don't like looking for a new, it's just a pain, if he had been paying attention. But I was so happy to not have anything wrong with me, and his insurance kept asking me, are you okay? We need to know now. And I'm like, I'm going to wait a couple days because I've been through this before. Yeah. Okay. So they threw like an extra $1,000. I had gone to the doctor and, I was okay. And I'm truthful. I'm not trying to like squeeze them for money and stuff, but they threw like an extra $1,200 just for like going to the doctor a couple times. And I'm like, hell, it's nice little inconvenient fee. Wishing it had happened. It's like, another time I was driving, somebody pulled in front of me, we smashed. That was like the first year I was driving a car, and my heart was racing. I kind of blacked out, and then my heart's racing, and the cop goes over to the next group and says something, and the kids, he said, are you guys on drugs? I've been drinking, so I know it's not my fault. And then, because I was kind of freaking out, and because it was at a 4-way stop, but see, I had the right of way, and then they came in real quick, and then they go, well, we thought we could make it. I'm like, oh, jeez. So then my mom, to punish me, so I was borrowing my dad's truck at the time. Oh, get this. I'll reveal something personal about me. So I was in high school. It's right before spring break. So I'm thinking, yeah, I get a week off. I'm a senior. We're going to hang out and have fun, go to the beach, play basketball. And then it happens like the start of spring break, and my mom goes, because it was my dad's car and my truck, and it got smashed. And my mom's like, well, my friend owns a flower shop. Oh, and it was around Easter time. And she's like, they need help at their Easter deal. So I signed you up to work with them 8 hours, 10 hours a day, making freaking bouquets. I'm like, okay, I'm an artist. I got a good eye. I don't know how to make a flower. So I was embarrassed for years that I worked at a flower stand for 1 week. It was only a 1 week gig, but it was embarrassing. But I was like, hell, I'm like, I wish that hadn't happened. I wouldn't end up at the damn flower store for 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours that week or whatever it was. It was a lot of overtime. Then they're like, oh, there's a lot of college girls here, Matt. And I'm like, okay, that's a good incentive. I'm an 18-year-old kid. I'm going to hang out with a bunch of hot girls all week. And then they're all pregnant. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, yeah, I'm not going to be dating any of you.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That is not on my resume. But the flower stand's on 70th and El Cajon Boulevard if anybody wants to go.
Okay. So, let's see. I think I got through all the questions that we have. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Let's see. I have the show at Quantum this month. I just got invited yesterday by Rich the Stitch. I have a show at Poorhouse this. Let's see. I think it's 20. May. What do I got? May 8th. I'm at the Gen X show with Jess Hudson, Justin Fox, and Peter Marshall. So it's going to be all Gen X jokes. It's going to sell out. It's $25 a person. It's going to be a fun night. It's yeah, I'm excited about that one. I think that might be it.
We should probably promote that during the promo.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Because it's easier I can just release the promo.
Okay, very good. Yeah, Thursday, May 8th. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just make sure you remember that or to promote.
I will.
After this. Let's see. Yeah, so many interesting things.
Thank you.
I would encourage you to make the New Yorker.
Yeah. I'm always drawing. I do skateboard graphics, skateboard T-shirts. I make all the flyers for any event I've done. I like doing that. I like being part of the comedy community, and I include all of it. I've met people in Las Vegas, LA, Hollywood, Orange County, San Diego. Now I'm dipping into my hometown. Everybody's been, for the most part, really nice and encouraging. I just encourage comics, don't leave the room. Be there to support your fellow comic as best you can. Cassidy at Mic Drop had a good quote. She said, by you not clapping and laughing and supporting doesn't make you a funnier comic. And I totally believe in that. And you've been a great asset and a good friend, and doing your podcast. There's very few of them, I think, in San Diego. So you're doing a good job with that. And
I just like to record conversations because so I can listen back to it and remember what we talked about.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah. It's a good community. It's fun. And I get it. People want to be competitive and be the best, but just have fun along the way. I've been an artist all my life, and it's a very solitary endeavor, and it gets kind of lonely, and but I would we'd kind of form teams, in San Diego, Orange County, of artists. I would put on these big art shows. We had 75 artists one time. Wow. We had Ray Bradbury was in our art show, the author. That was killer. We got to be on TV because of that. I promoted on Channel 6 and hyped it up, and Ray's little sketch, because he would draw, and of course his signature alone is going to be worth money. And he was the first ever guest at Comic-Con in 1970, and I had met Ray over the years, and then I just mailed him a canvas, did the self-addressed so he could mail it back for free, and he drew a little sketch, and it sold for $400 at that art show. So, and we had artists from The Simpsons and Disney and just friends of mine, anybody. We had tons of art. And so I think with comedy, it's the same thing, just you could make it on your own, but it's a lot more fun to have a group of friends or mentors or mentor somebody else. And just, it's cool because it's almost like the skate park. Like I got back into skating I think 7 years ago when the pump track in Carmel Valley came about. And I run into Billy Ruff, and I meet Billy Ruff, and then I meet Steve Caballero and Dennis Martinez. And I meet all these legends, and it's the same with art and skateboarding and comedy now. Because back then I could go to any skate park in any part of San Diego and Orange County and run into somebody I know at any point of the day. And now I'm running into comics at any venue I go to, where no matter where it is. If I've never been there before, Yellow Door, I went there a couple weeks ago, ran into 4 friends, ran into you. Ran into you. I've seen you 3 times in the last week and a half. So, and you're not the only one.
That's because you're doing comedy in San Diego now.
Yeah, hell yeah. So, yeah, I'm back. I'm glad to be back. Born and raised San Diego. I lived in Santee, La Mesa, El Cajon, Carlsbad, and Tierra Santa. That's kind of like my realm. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. All right, cool. So this has been Comedy or Words.
Hopefully the comedy.
Yeah. All right, bye, everybody.